In this video, I'll be discussing some of the tools that we will be using to help us with doing labs for this class. On the Lee campus, we have 3 recording studios and 5 editing suites available in room 206 in Wilkinson Hall. Due to social distancing rules currently in place, in order to use the tools on campus, we're instituting a sign-up procedure to reserve time in the studio and time at an editing suite. Check the Labs section of Blackboard to find instructions on how to sign up for a 30-minute recording time and for a 30-minute editing time. Spots are first come, first served. You'll sign up for the same time slots each week. If you're unable to come at your appointed times, there may be other opportunities available. Contact me or Department Chair, Mr. Freeman. Before coming to the studios to record, make sure that you are prepared to record. Have your script ready to go. Practice reading your script out loud a couple of times before coming in to get yourself comfortable with what you're saying and how you plan on saying it. You might find it helpful to mark up your script with notes or highlight portions of your script to help you in your reading. The tools on campus are Windows PCs using Adobe Audition as our recording software. Adobe Audition, also known as Cool Edit Pro, is a radio industry standard. It'll give you hands-on experience with software that many of the pros use. We have versions 1.0 and 3.0 available. For the purposes of this video, we'll be looking at version 1.0. When you open Adobe Audition, you will see one of 2 screens. If you see this screen, you are in the multi-track view. This is useful for producing audio projects with multiple voices, music beds, and sound effects. However, in this class, we are only concerned with recording ourselves. So if you see this screen, in the menu bar, click on View, and then on Edit Waveform View. You should now see a screen with just one track of audio. Each of our studios is set up in a different manner. The first time you use a particular studio, you will want to learn how to use the audio console to turn on your microphone and how to adjust volume levels for recording. You'll also want to learn how to adjust levels for the computer, the speakers, and your headphones. See me or any of the other broadcasting instructors for help. One thing to keep in mind, no matter what studio you are recording in, make sure you are wearing your headphones and that you are able to hear yourself comfortably. At the bottom of the screen, you will see controls that look very much like controls that you would use for a CD player or a cassette player. The red circle is the record button. When you click on it, you may see a pop-up for recording in a new waveform. You will want to make sure that the following options are selected. You want your sample rate to be 44,100. You want your channels to be selected to stereo. And you want your resolution to be selected at 16-bit. These are the generally accepted broadcast quality standards. Once those have been checked, you can click on OK. And now you're recording. You'll see a stopwatch feature counting up your recording time. Below that, you will see a green line measuring the loudness of your audio. We call this the VU meter. As you speak into the microphone, you should see the VU meter move up and down. Watch how the VU meter moves as you speak. Ideally, you want this line to change yellow at your loudest points, but you never want it to become red. An ideal recording level will have your audio consistently measuring between -15 and -3 on the VU meter. If it doesn't, either adjust the volume of your voice or the volume being picked up by the microphone. The best way to check your levels is to do a portion of the read that you are recording. If you simply turn on the mic and say something like check 1, 2, 3, you will most likely not be speaking with the same volume and intensity that you will use in your actual recording piece. Read a portion of your loudest part and a portion of your softest part so that you can get a sense of how the software will pick you up. Once you have checked your recording levels, you can press the green square on the bottom left of the screen, right here. That's the stop button. You should see the track highlighted in white. You can press the delete button on your keyboard to remove your test recording. When you are ready to record, put on your headset, turn on your mic, and press record. There's no need to start speaking immediately after pressing record. You can always remove silent spaces or unwanted audio later. When you are recording, continue to pay attention to the VU meter to make sure that you are recording properly. If, during your recording, you make a mistake or you say something in a way that you don't like or some outside noise interferes with your recording, stop, pause for a breath, then start speaking again by speaking the entire sentence or thought that was interrupted. One of the things you'll find is that if you're recording and you make a mistake, then if you just keep speaking from where you made that mistake point, it's going to be a whole lot more difficult to try to edit pieces together. But if as you're talking you make a mistake, you stop and you start that sentence over again, you're going to find the editing process a whole lot easier. It's also going to make things sound more natural and free-flowing if you edit in that way. When you're done speaking, wait a couple of seconds before turning off your microphone and stop the recorder. Go back to the beginning of your recording by pressing the home key on the keyboard. With your microphone off and your computer turned on, press the green arrow with the circle around it to play back your recording to make sure everything is there and that there were no technical issues. There's no need to start speaking immediately after pressing record. You can always remove silent spaces or unwanted audio later. I would recommend listening to the entire recording to make sure everything is there and that there's no problems. Once you've done that, you are now ready to save your recording. Insert your USB thumb drive into the computer. Then, from the menu bar, come up here to File, and then click on Save As. Once the window pops up for the saving dialog, you're going to want to search for your thumb drive. In this case, I'm using my personal computer at home in my home office, so for the moment, I'm just going to save this on my desktop. I recommend that you get into the habit of saving all of your production work in its own separate folder. It's not as important for this class per se, but when you begin doing multi-track productions, having each project in its own folder becomes vital for keeping things organized. Right-click in the Save Waveform As area, and then select New, and then select Folder. Name this folder something meaningful while the folder is highlighted. In this case, I'm going to call this folder Test. Now double-click on your newly created folder. Under Save As Type, make sure that MP3 is selected. Then give your file a name. Usually you'll be instructed what to name the files that you will be turning in. In this case, I'm going to call this, we'll call it Test Recording VO Raw. That's a notation that I use to let me know that this is the raw, unedited file. Now you can click on Save. Once you have finished saving, you can come to the top right of your computer screen and close out of the program by clicking on the X. Take your USB thumb drive to one of the editing computers. Open Adobe Audition and make sure that you're in the Edit view. Click on File and then click on Open. Search for the folder you just created. Then double-click on your MP3 file. You can now begin editing out any problems with the recording. Use your mouse to click and drag on the waveform. This will allow you to highlight a piece of audio that you want to edit out. If you want to zoom in and out to be able to see more or less of your waveform, you can use the buttons to the right of the play controls at the bottom of the screen. They will allow you to zoom in, zoom out, and to be able to see things in a much more clear way, especially if you're trying to get just portions of a second that you're trying to edit out. So in this case, I'm going to try to edit out some of this beginning dead air audio. I'm going to highlight the first few seconds of the audio, and then I'll come down here to the zoom controls, and I'm going to click on this button right here. That allows me to zoom in just to the area that I've selected. Now I can click and drag this portion right here that allows me to highlight just that little bit of audio that I want to impact. When you have what you want to edit out highlighted, press the Delete key on your keyboard. Then you want to head back either to the beginning of the audio if you were cutting out from the beginning of the file, or click your cursor to just a couple of seconds before where you made the edit point. At this case, I edited out the beginning, so I'll just click the home button on my keyboard to send the cursor back to the beginning. Listen to your edit to make sure that you like what you did. There's no need to start speaking immediately. Now in this case, I was able to get a nice clean edit, and as soon as I hit the play button, it started playing the audio. There was no dead air. However, if you don't like the way that you edited something, press Control and Z at the same time to undo your edit. You're going to find with this software that Control Z is going to be your best friend. I use it a lot. Now what you want to do is listen to all of your audio. Do the same thing throughout the entire piece until you're happy with your final product. Once you are finished editing, you can save your file again. I would suggest saving your edited file as a different file name so that you still have your original recording just in case there's a problem. Go to File, Save As, and here's our original recording that we recorded, and you see that it's defaulted to save over that. I'm going to change this to say that this is Test Recording VO Edit 1. Now again, it's good to save different versions of your audio just in case there's a problem with the saving over top of something that could corrupt a file, or perhaps you made an edit that you didn't want to make and you need to go back and correct it. Always good to have several versions of the file that you are working on. So I'm going to save this as a new file name. I'll click on Save, and once you've saved, you can close out of Adobe Audition. If at any time you're unsure of what you're doing when you're in the recording studio or at the editing suite, feel free to ask me or any of the broadcasting instructors. We're here to help you, and we want you to do well.